Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mike Kollin at MikeKollin.com. Okay, I'm gonna this video is gonna be about what happened and got me into doing neuro-linguistic programming, Ericksonian hypnosis, timeline therapy, and eventually into energy healing. There's a really powerful word that just shifted everything for me. And I mean, it's a 3-letter word. It's one word. So another thing is, there was a professor, he was the head professor at Syracuse University. He convinced me to leave college, to forget getting my doctorate degree in psychology, and to go study neuro-linguistic programming and Ericksonian hypnosis. Now, mind you, he was a doctor. He was a therapist for years. He was the head professor, the head psychologist of the psychology department at Syracuse University, which is in the United States. It's a major university. Now, I was pretty young. I think I was probably 21 or 22 years old at the time. And his name is Dr. Bob Bays. He was the head trainer for this 3-day training in San Jose. He was training for Tony Robbins. So he was teaching NLP and Ericksonian hypnosis techniques. So one day, I think it was the 3rd day of training, he had pulled me aside on the way out to lunch. He says, "Hey, can we talk?" It's like, "Yeah." And he did. "How are you enjoying the seminar?" I was like, "Oh, I love this stuff. It's amazing. It's mind-blowing." He goes, "What are you studying in college?" I go, "Oh, I'm a psychology student." He goes, "Oh, great. Blah, blah, blah." He convinced me. He goes, "Stop wasting your time." He goes, "Go after your dream. If NLP is your dream," because what happened was I went to a Tony Robbins seminar. Actually, I went to, I think at this point, 3 major seminars, and then this was the 4th smaller seminar. And I was just absolutely blown away. And I said to him, I have to do this. What college? Where do I go to learn how to do this? And he goes, "Well, you can't." He goes, "You actually have to go to seminars and certification courses and get trained in it." So he's trying to convince me to leave college. He goes, "You can't learn this at college." He goes, they won't even begin to even consider teaching this for another 20 years. He goes, "That's just the way the collegiate system is. They're always behind by decades." So what he ended up doing is he talked about his daughter Makina Bays, and he said, "You're just like my daughter." And we were about the same age. I think she might have been 2 years younger than me, something like that. And he said, she is a amazing ballerina. She's been doing it since she's a little girl. And her dream is to be a professional ballet dancer. And she got invited to, I think it was the New York Ballet. And to go there, she got an invite. She was that good. To get into the New York Ballet it's incredible. It's impossible for pretty much most people. So I was like, wow, that's amazing. She decided that she needs to get her college degree. So she went to UCLA and she's taking a 1-hour class 3 times a week in ballet. I'm like, really? Oh, okay. Because I was like, yeah, you got to get a college degree first, and because that's all you hear. Now, Dr. Bob Bays was in his 50s, probably mid-50s, I'm going to guess. And he's like, no. He goes, "Michael, forget that." He goes, "You're just like my daughter. She believes the same thing." He goes, "The message that you guys are being fed," he goes, "you can go to college when you're 40, 50, 60 years old." He goes, "You can go to college anytime." Because, but the window to be a professional ballerina is very small. Most people are out by the time they're 32, 33, 34 years old. It is a very, very short window, small window. He goes, "She should do it now." Now, as an athlete, I was very aware, once you hit about 32 to 34 years old, you've pretty much peaked and everything is downhill. So once you hit 35 years old, you're going down, okay? So you have a short window. And I remember looking yeah, that's true. I know what you're talking about. He goes, "Michael, go after your dreams." He goes, "Stop going to college." He goes, "You can go to college later on if you want to. Right now, establish yourself. Train in NLP and Ericksonian hypnosis." He goes, "Read every book you can, buy every book you can, go to every seminar you can, and get really, really good at this." Now, there's a video, about a 2-minute video clip that I took off of a video of what someone, it's something that really inspired this video. So I don't want to break it down because I just want it to speak for itself, and I want to get to the point here. So let me kind of back up a step. So I remember at a Tony Robbins seminar, he was talking about, hey, have you ever had anyone tell you, like, hey, you just need to get rich, you just need to be a millionaire, you just need to be, be successful, you just need to get more clients in the door, you just need to be happy, you just need to start, feeling good about yourself. And we're like, yeah. He goes, isn't that frustrating? Like, well, yeah, because obviously I would do it if I could. He goes, here's the thing. Nobody ever stops and says, here's how to be happy. Here's how to get over your problems. Here's how to get over depression. See, here's my point. When Tony Robbins said that, I looked at him and I was like, that's exactly it. That's why it pissed me off. So frustrating is when people tell you what to do, but they don't tell you how to do it. Now here's the thing about happiness. Happiness is really simple. You look up. Neurologically, if you look up at where the ceiling and the wall meets, like at a real steep angle, and you tilt your head up, those two things trigger your brain to release a certain chemical into your brain and body to make you happy. Now if you force yourself to smile and breathe deep while you're looking up like that, it releases more hormones and more chemicals to make you happy. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't believe that. Do it. Look up at the ceiling, look up at the sky, put a huge smile. Here's the thing. This is the thing. You have to do it. Huge smile, look up, breathe in, and force yourself to look up with wide eyes, big smile, and all of a sudden you can't. Here's the thing. You can't be depressed. You can't have anxiety. You can't any of those things. Now, next thing you know, whenever I work with people, they look down and they get rid of their smile. Yeah, it's not working. Like, dude, you don't have your smile on. You got to force a smile. You have to look up. And they do that and like, man, you know what? You're right. I can't actually be in a shitty mood if I do this. Like, you can't. It's neurological. So this first 3.5 day seminar blew my mind. It was here's how you do this. Here's how you shift this. Here's how. And he would give you steps. He goes, first of all, do this and do it at a peak state. But here's the thing. You have to play fully and completely out. He goes, now do it like this. Breathe deep. Do this. And it was all these different steps. And you're like, man, this is incredible. How come no one's ever said this before? Because people didn't know how to do this stuff. So I remember in college speech class, we learned to give a speech. There's the what people. There's the why people. Then there's the how people. And then there's the what if people. Now what they were teaching us was this. Like, if you want to have a successful speech to engage all of the audience, there's people that approach life from one of these 4 perspectives, and if you leave one of them out, they won't listen. So they say when you first start a speech, you want to say, well, first, there's the word what we're going to talk about is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then second, you're going to say and why. So now you're catching the what and the why people. So why we're going to do this is because of A, B, C, D, and E. And then you say, how we're going to do this is we're going to teach you the how in the training. So you're going to learn steps during the training. So the how people are like, okay, awesome. And then there's the what if people. The what if people are like, well, what if this? They're the ones who always ask the question, well, what if it doesn't work? Or what if I don't know how? What if? So then at the very end, you tell the what if people, we will save the questions for the end of the training. Okay? So all of a sudden, all 4 groups are fully engaged. So I'm at Tony Robbins' seminar and he points out this thing. He goes, next time someone tells you what to do, look at them and say, how? And I have to tell you, a lot of times people don't know, but every now and then someone goes, oh, well, how you do that is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Here, let me show you. And then all of a sudden you're learning the how. You can have people tell you all day long what to do, but if you don't know how to do it, well, you're not going to get anywhere. And for a lot of people, this is why they're never successful, because they never even thought to ask, well, how do you do it? So literally, that's one of the steps to how. That is literally answering one of the how questions. So here I am at like my 4th Tony Robbins seminar being taught by Dr. Bob Bays. And it's called Skills of Power. This was in San Jose. And I think they did it again in San Francisco because I remember having lunch there. And I remember my partner that we got partnered up with was a dentist, etc., etc. So I think I took the same training twice just because the more you do it, the better you get. So they're teaching us how to set anchors, how to use anchors, how to reframe people, how to gain rapport, how to use the predicate system, etc., etc. And it became easier and easier and easier. And my whole life started changing because of this one word, how. Now, mind you, I was in college my fourth year taking psychology classes, and I was really, here I was, getting blown away. My life was changed after this one seminar. Then I went to another one, and I was like, boom, I was on path. Life was getting better and better and better. Now, the thing about it is that psychology was one of the things I noticed. It was all about theories. In fact, everything I've noticed, even science, even now, it's all about theories. That's why I keep bringing up that one physicist. I can't remember his name right now. Neil deGrasse Tyson, wherever he is. Well, the theory is, and the opinion is, and what we believe. It's all about. It's literally like going to church. It's theoretical. It's theologian. It's our faith. Remember about 3 years ago, Neil Tyson deGrasse made a video on YouTube. He goes, if you believe this to be true, if you believe this theory to be true, and you believe this theory to be true, and you believe this theory to be true, then you have to believe that this theory is true. So literally, it's not based on any facts. It's just, well, here's our theories, and if you believe them, then you have to believe this other one too. And I'm like, that's science? That's insane. So here I was in a psychology class during the middle of going these NLP trainings, getting certified and learning all this really awesome stuff and helping people getting over lifelong phobias in 1 session, 2 sessions max. I mean, it really is that easy. Here's the way it was explained to us. I think it was Dr. Tad James said. He goes, look, would you take your car to a mechanic who said, well, theoretically, I should be able to fix it. I don't know if I can, but, I'm going to charge you $125 an hour. And then you go pick it up 4 days later, and he's worked 4 hours on your car, so that's what, $500. And he's saying, yeah, don't know what's wrong with it. Sorry if it's a $500 bill. Like, hell no, you're not going to do that. The mechanic either knows how to fix it or he doesn't. It's not based on theory, opinion, or belief, or philosophy. Those are words that I don't like at all. NLP, Ericksonian Hypnosis, Virginia Satir Therapy, it's all based on how. Actual steps on how, but you have to learn, what's going on the unconscious level. See, the way we communicate is unconscious. There's this unconscious system that we use that's called the predicate system. Now, this is something that NLP discovered, that Virginia Satir discovered. And so all of a sudden we're looking at people going, oh, I see what's wrong with this husband and wife. He's speaking the visual predicate system and she's speaking the auditory system, and they're not actually understanding each other because they're speaking two different languages, sub-languages, and they're not even aware of it. And it's super simple to teach. I could teach the predicate system probably realistically in a very in-depth way in about an hour. This also applies to business and sales. It applies to everything. So all of a sudden you're speaking their language, and now they can relate to you. Now they have clarity. Now they understand you. And all of a sudden everything clicks and connects, and all of a sudden everything goes through and everyone's happy. Another really simple one is called Deep Love Strategy. It is a really simple process. There is a little bit to it to find out what your unconscious deep love strategy is. And when you find it, now you can teach it to your spouse, your husband, or your wife, and then they can push your deep love strategy button, and now you feel loved. Because a lot of times we have different deep love strategies, and we push the same button that's ours on our partner. And that button, if that's not connected to what truly makes them feel loved on a deep level, it will do nothing. You're pushing this button that does nothing for them, and over a period of time, years and years, they're getting really pissed off thinking you don't care when you actually do. You're just doing it the wrong way. So here I am taking these neuro-linguistic programming, Ericksonian hypnosis courses, and linguistics and communication, etc. And I'm just blown away. I'm like, man, this is because, man, I reflected back to my high school girlfriend, how we fought like cats and dogs, and no matter what I did, it just enraged her. When I learned the predicate system, the deep love strategy, I'm like, oh my God, she literally would say, you never show me that you love me. So this is like a visual for her. She had to see it. It has to be something like a written note or letter or a little flower. And what was I doing? I was hugging her because I'm Italian. We were raised to hug, and at least for me, that's the way I express my love, and that's the way I receive love. Here's the thing: she never hugged me. When she didn't feel loved, she refused to hug me. And it wasn't necessarily a conscious thing of her doing that. It was just that she just shut down. Therefore, nobody was being loved. I wasn't being hugged, and I wasn't showing her. So here I am, just blown away. I'm working with people, changing their lives, getting over lifelong phobias. Their husbands are coming to me, oh my God, you have no idea how much you've changed our family's life, blah, blah, blah. This was a huge problem, and thank you, sir. I mean, I was just like, man, here I was in my mid-20s changing people's lives, using these techniques. I'm like, man, this is awesome. Now here comes the other side. So here I am in psychology class, just like reading these books. Now, okay, I'm gonna cut to the chase. It was another class talking about Dr. Freud, someone who's been dead for over 100 years, dead, okay? He's talking about, this is the what do they call him? The father of modern psychology. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it was just like, they were teaching the same thing that they were teaching 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. And here's the words that kept popping up. Well, theoretically, our philosophy, what we believe is, Freud's opinion. And then what I learned about Freud was, and our teacher said this with pride, and it blew and I'm like, look, my mouth was just dropped. And he wasn't the only professor in college that said this with pride. Like, Freud, the reason why people believed Freud was because Freud did the most cocaine. He did so much cocaine that his teeth fell out and he had fake wooden teeth. In other words, they would say because he was essentially the loudest mouth in the room, everyone goes, okay, well, let's just believe what he says because he's the biggest, loudest mouth in the room. He's kind of a bully. He's pushing everyone around, and therefore psychology is based off of someone blasted out of his mind of cocaine, and he's louder than others, so we're gonna take his opinion. Now, there was a time, this was the third time I'd heard this story in the third psychology class, and I was like, and here's what happened. Before I found Tony Robbins, I literally said, there's got to be something better than this. Every field is launching forward. Medicine was launching forward with new discoveries. Everything, electronics, computer science, like everything was launching forward, learning more. Whereas modern psychology, it was stuck 100 years ago and still hadn't moved. It didn't budge. Now, I started going to temple and learning about Buddhism and this and that. I don't remember who said this to me. It might have been at an NLP seminar. I don't remember where. It might have been Buddha.com, but someone said to me, you guys call it like psychology, like Western psychology is like this amazing thing. And in the therapeutic aspects, he goes, do you know that modern psychology is only 300 years old? I'm like, yeah, actually they taught that to us in psychology class. And he goes, did you know that Buddhism has been around for 5,000 years, and the healing work that they've been practicing and doing is 5,000 years worth of dedicated effort and practice and absolute commitment from these people, and they pass these teachings down to monk after monk after monk after monk. He goes, do you really think that what they're teaching is better than 5,000 years? And I thought about it, I'm like, wow, I never thought of it like that. So here this monk comes along and he does this healing thing on my girlfriend. And I was like, holy shit, like you could feel the heat. Like, oh, that is incredible. And then he did one to me. And then I'm like, okay, like this whole 300 years versus 5,000 years. So I really started delving into that area of life too. And I started to realize, we're told one thing that's just not true. Like modern psychology is in its infancy. And I mean literally infancy. I mean, here I am in my mid-20s, about 25 years old, okay, with my Master Practitioner certification, okay. Now I'm an NLP trainer and a lot more. I have 53 certifications in all these different arts. So here I am working with people, like the guy that came and shook my hand, the husband. He was like, she's been in therapy for 12 years. She's taken every medication you could freaking think of. Nothing has worked. We've taken her to hypnotherapists. We've taken her to psychiatrists, psychologists. Nothing has worked. And I'm like, really? I did that. Literally, I literally did that in an hour and a half. Modern psychology literally tells you if you have a true phobia, it takes 2 years up to 12 years to heal it. Well, what happens if you have 4 or 5 phobias or even 3? That's like, what's that? 36 years if you have 3 phobias. Wow, what a waste of a life. I'll give you another example. One of the things we're taught about an NLP is to make it as quick and fast as possible. If you figure out how to do it, don't delay it. Do it right away. Do the techniques and fix it and let that client move on with their life and then move on to the next one. Psychology, well, got to make an appointment every week for the next 20 years. The one thing that kind of blew me away, I used to, like, in my infancy, learning how to, start the business, I would be like, well, how do you get business? He goes, I just got, a 3-line ad in the yellow pages. I'm like, so where else do you advertise? He goes, I don't. I'm like, that's it? He goes, yeah. So during one of our NLP trainings, we're like, yeah, the thing is they don't really have to do any marketing, because once they get a client, they have that client for, on average, for about 2 years or more. So once they have about 10, 15 clients, they don't have any room for any more, and they're all booked up. And I was like, man, you got to be kidding me. So I was kind of like, I thought that was kind of messed up. I'm going to give you a real life example. There's a lady that I knew through family, and she was doing, I think she had her master's degree in psychology, and she was working with kids that had learning disabilities, right? Now in NLP, we blow that out of the water. Learning disabilities, what are you talking about? Because they learn differently? So I was explaining, I go, you have got to go to a practitioner and master practitioner course. It'll teach you everything you need to know about how to help a kid change and shift fast and get back on track on learning fast and getting straight A's, etc., etc. She got pissed. It offended her to no end. And not only offended her, but it said, hey, you can get them through this faster so they can go back to school and blah, 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 blah. And it was like, it scared her. And I'm like looking at her. And the person that was with me walked away like, Michael, like, well, essentially she has like a clientele, and she's got, she's getting her paycheck on a regular basis, and she doesn't want to get rid of them. And I thought about that. I thought, man, that is so fucking, I'm just going to cuss. It's so fucking messed up. Like, really? So this person would rather not learn something that could change people's lives than what she's doing anyways. Whereas my belief is that if I can help someone truly overcome a lifelong issue in 3 to 5 to 7 sessions, that person's going to tell her friends, her families, and boom, the referrals are going to come flying in. That's the way I would rather do business. So I ended up calling Makina Bays, and she goes, who's this? I'm like, well, and I felt really uncomfortable. Like, hey, man, your dad gave me your number, and he said that I really need to talk to you. And she goes, oh, really? And then I explained about the ballet, New York Ballet, how she chose college, and how because I was in college, like, you got to get a degree. She goes, oh, yeah, my dad's given me that speech plenty of times, like, you should chase your dreams. So we ended up talking for about an hour. It ended up, because I told her, I said, hey, I'm really sorry, because it was kind of like, someone gave me your number. He didn't even tell her, which kind of blew me away. And I was like, oh, so sorry. She goes, no, it's okay. And so we ended up talking for about an hour, had a great conversation. And I think it shifted something in me, because the next week when I went to class, I was in biology class. It was about a 200 people, 200 plus, it was a lot of people. It's one of those auditoriums or whatever you call it, where it goes up, like instead of flat floor, it goes all the way up like a movie theater. And I remember just sitting there looking at my book, and I'm listening. We were going with the Krebs cycle, which I got an A on, by the way, because that intimidated the crap out of everyone. That was one of the toughest things, supposedly, but I got an A. And I remember the teacher was I think we just got our grades back or our tests back on that. And the teacher was talking about something, and I was just kind of like, Bob Bates was in my head, talking to his daughter was in my head. The word how that you learn from NLP and Tony Robbins, and how this changes your life, knowing how to do things. And here I am just like changing people's lives. And oh yeah, here was the other thing. I had been to psychotherapy from 8th grade off and on for a while at this point. It hadn't made a frickin' dent. So learning this stuff was like pulling teeth, and it was just uncomfortable. And I'm like, man, this is just, I felt like I was wasting my life. Now I'm talking about psychology, because it was all based on opinions and beliefs and theories, and nothing was based on, hey, here's how you do it. Here's how you fix this. Here's how you fix the, the muffler. Here's how you replace the frickin', the engine head. Here's how you, replace the pistons. So I'm sitting there in biology class, and I'm looking at my book, I'm looking at the teacher, I'm looking around, and my energy completely shifted. For the first time, I wasn't into the class at all. I was pondering my future. Now, the reason why I say that, now this is a big class, and I think it was a 2-hour class, if I remember, an hour and a half, something like that. It was longer than a normal class. And I remember the teacher said, hey, if you need to go, like get a drink of water or go to the bathroom, don't worry about it. Just don't ask, because, he'd be interrupted a lot. He goes, just go to the bathroom. And I'm like, and I remember I grabbed my books, I put them in my backpack, and I stood up, and and I did it quietly, by the way. The whole classroom stopped, even the teacher, and they all, I mean, all of just dead stop. Everyone looked at me. I didn't make a noise, and I'm like, how do they know I'm leaving? Because I was like, I'm done. I'm leaving. I was on my way to traveling the country to study everything I could on NLP. Now, I want you to listen to what his experience is. It's about a 2-minute video. The person being interviewed is Will Horton. He is a licensed psychologist who also studied NLP and is an NLP practitioner and NLP trainer. So listen to what he has to say. It matches up with my experience. And the name of the podcast is called Spawn Trained Podcast. So SPOHN Trained Podcast. So I wanted to give credit out to these two guys.
I played sports in high school, drank a lot of beer, which ties into my story later, and so I wasn't into it. And then fast forward a few years, I had an addiction, primarily alcohol, that took away a couple of careers. Number one was a military career. I got out of high school, was going to become a pilot, go to West Point, do all kinds of cool stuff. Well, drink that away, as they say. Then I got this hair up my butt one day. I said, I'm going to be an actor, as I was getting out of the Army. And even though I'd never seen a play in my life, Nick, I'd never seen a play, I decided I want to be an actor, right? Stage actor.
Okay.
So I got accepted into a really good acting school and started doing it and was doing quite well. But again, addiction took that away. And after a few false starts, I finally started to sober up when I came across someone who actually did some hypnosis and what we would know now as NLP. Everything I was doing to try to quit drinking made sense. And then my life started to change. I became an alcohol and drug counselor, studied NLP, because back then it was easy to find an NLP training. It was hard to find a hypnosis training. Mm. And then I did go back to school, get my doctorate in clinical psychology because the government paid for it. And so I've been doing it ever since.
Okay, so you trained in NLP first, mm-hmm. then hypnosis, and then psychology?
Right.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting because then once I started learning clinical psychology, for me it was like pulling teeth because I'd already found some things that really worked fast, worked effective, and now it was like going backwards to try to do some things.
I'm glad you said that because I always wonder, knowing what I know about NLP and hypnosis and human behavior without having a psychology degree, what are they learning? Because I can go, get someone's phobia gone in 5 minutes. What are they learning when they're getting a PhD in psychology? That's
All right, so here's the deal. That's where I was at, and I'm like, why am I studying this stuff? It doesn't work. It hasn't worked on me. I mean, I know people that have been in therapy for years, if not decades, and I had a client that had been in therapy for over a decade, and it didn't do anything for her, and it was for a freaking phobia, a real phobia that freaked her out. I did it in 1 day, actually an hour and a half. Now, when he says 5 minutes, it's a little... Depending on the phobia, it can be about 15 minutes. So 5 minutes, I think he's generalizing there. But the point about it is, it is fast and it's effective. And here's the thing, it really, really works. Again, it's like a mechanic. Either you know how to replace that part or you don't. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Sorry, that video, when I saw that clip, I was just really fired up, and it brought back a lot of memories for me and why I got into this, and that, for me, leaving college was a huge risk. It was just but I knew I had to do it, and I am so glad I stuck with my guns and listened to my intuition. Alright, that's it guys for this video. If you like this video, please click subscribe, click the like button, go ahead and make a comment, and remember, ask the question how. And remember, there's a PayPal link right there in the description box if you want to go ahead and leave a donation. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.